So always remember that when we talk about dogmas, dogma is basically a term we use in the church to refer to some of the teachings, doctrines of the church that have been defined by the church in a special way for purposes of clarity. But the dogmas are part of the deposit of faith. They are not like they're out of the realm of the faith. They are also doctrines. Doctrine means teaching, to teach docere, to teach Latin, teachings of the church. So the deposit of faith is church teaching. And the deposit of faith binds every Catholic in conscience. Private revelations don't. But they are prophetic voices of our time, and they should, at least if they are approved by the church, we should respect the position of the church. Okay, we were going to number the Roman Church. The Roman Church became the head of all the churches, not through the ordinance of divine providence, but merely through political conditions. So Peter was a politician. Paul was a politician. Listen to this again. The Roman Church became the head of all the churches, not through the ordinance of divine revelation, no, divine providence, but merely through political conditions. Why does the Church of Rome has primacy? Because it was founded by Constantine. Wasn't even there then, because this is they're insinuating that political conditions. When the Church of Rome was founded, Constantine wasn't even there. And everywhere there were political conditions, in Jerusalem, in Antioch, you name it, in Rome. Even when Jesus was still alive with us on earth in the body, in the flesh, there were political situations, conditions. Political conditions have existed for as long as humans have lived. What does the word politics mean? It comes from what language? Greek. What is a polis? Indianapolis. A polis, a city, a town, a city. So, how the city is going to govern itself. Politic. Of the polity. So, that's what it is. So, humans figure out how to govern themselves. Now, the word politics have acquired so many things, so politicians. So, the Roman Church is the primacy, the head of all the churches, because it was founded by the Prince of the Apostles, the head of the Apostolic College, and his name is Rock. If you want to say his name is Simeon the Rock. Peter, Simon the Rock. That is the one who founded the Church of Rome. And of course the other apostle, usually we call the Gentiles, Paul. And but this is something very important, not to be confused by these people. That's why the Church of Rome has primacy. You remember in the 2nd century, Saint Irenaeus. You remember him, Saint Irenaeus, a very, very important father of the church. Saint Irenaeus, around 185 AD, 175 AD, he was wrestling with the heretics. Shirika, AD, around 175 AD. We are talking about ancient times, and the witness or testament of Irenaeus, we said, is very important because Irenaeus was a student of Saint Polycarp. Saint Polycarp, and Polycarp was a student of Saint John the Apostle. So that is the proximity, the line. So Polycarp taught Irenaeus the faith, and Polycarp was a student of John the Apostle. So that's why his witness is very important. So Saint Irenaeus was arguing with remember the heretics who said that the apostles passed on two sets of, or forms, sets of teachings, one to the masses, the other to the intellectuals. And so the heretics then, Gnostics, were claiming that the apostles passed on to them a higher form of knowledge, which is different from that of the masses, the stupid ones. And so if you want to know the true faith and to be on that higher level, come to us. So St. Irenaeus, hearing about that, he said, okay, you claim that what you teach is from the apostles. Let's examine what the apostles taught. So he went through the different churches, but he said, let us zero in on the Church of Rome. At this time, let us zero in on the Church of Rome. The Church of Rome is ancient. We have another pope before 100 AD, before 100 AD, in the 90s AD. It's called Pope Clement of Rome. He wrote many letters to the different churches. So when we talk about Rome, we are talking about the ancient church, which is understood as the head of the church. It's not about political conditions. So St. Irenaeus said, okay, let's zero in on the Church of Rome to discover, to find out what Peter and Paul taught. So he went through everything and said, this is what Peter taught. This is what Paul taught, because this is what the Church of Rome teaches. And so when we examine the teachings of the Church of Rome, I don't see they are preserved what you teach. What you teach is not preserved in the Church of Rome, which was founded by Peter and Paul. So if it's not preserved there, they didn't teach it. So where do you get what you teach? That's how he defeated the heretics then. So we ask the modernists, where do you get what you teach? Because we have from ancient times, from Linus, the successor of Peter, you have the Bible that has the popes. Linus, Ignatius, then later comes Clement. So the Church of Rome is not like something new that was invented in the last century. It was founded by Peter and Paul, and they understood that primacy of that church, and the successors of that church became the head of the worldwide church, Catholic Church. You can remember the controversy between Pope Stephen and Saint Cyprian in the 3rd century. Again, the Pope reprimanding what Bishop Cyprian was doing in Carthage in North Africa. So these people, in 200 what? In the 200s, but I can't remember exactly, 200 and something AD. No. No. Yes. Well, no, but we can't really know, because it was North Africa, but you can't really know whether it was black or North Africa. No, but we're talking about Cyprian was Pope, was bishop, but not Pope. Yes. So by then you had many bishops around the world, because the Christian had spread from Jerusalem to so many places. And so bishops were being appointed from different places. Remember, the what? No, the church is growing. changing in terms of we have to be very careful about the words evolution and development. These are two different words, and we have to be very careful with those words. Now, someone can use the word evolving in a secondary sense, meaning development. But if you use evolution in the primary sense, it doesn't apply to the church. Why? Because evolution means evolving from one thing to another. So remember, we looked at those heresies earlier on, that the modernists were saying the doctrines of the church can evolve from one thing to mean a completely other thing, because this particular community at this particular time understood it this way because it was beneficial to them at the time. But now for us, 1500 years later, our situation is different. What was beneficial to them is not beneficial to us. Therefore, we can look at it in a very different way, a diametrically different way. The church doesn't do that. No. That would be evolution. Church, we call it development of dogma, meaning, or teaching, development of the understanding of the deposit of faith. What we mean by development is that we grow in the understanding of the very same truth. Not that the truth is changing, but we are growing in knowledge. That is very different from evolution. Evolution means that something changes into another. Truth does not change. Yes. I didn't hear about that. There is nothing evolving about the treatment of women. It's not an evolution. The Pope, I don't know the word he used because he doesn't speak English. So I meant the people who know Spanish to look it up. But he can use the word, but the word in understanding development. We grow in understanding. There's no evolution in the church. There is growing in understanding. Otherwise, the term evolution can mean something very, very dangerous. Evolution, refers to change, and when you are talking about the deposit of faith, truth, and you bring in the word evolution, you are inviting danger, because truth does not change. But we grow in the understanding. Our understanding of the truth develops. It doesn't evolve. Because evolution changes something from one thing to another. So we avoid that term, evolution. Okay. The chief articles of the Apostles' Creed did not have the same sense for the Christians of the first ages as they have for the Christians of our time. Evolution. You see? So these people think in terms of evolution, that these things meant these things to those. Because remember, to a modernist, whether it is the creed or doctrines, they are not divine. They are human teachings developed by the apostles organically to authenticate their movement when Jesus had gone. And so every subsequent heresy is built on that. So they can easily say that the chief articles of the Apostles' Creed did not have the same sense for the Christians of the first ages as they have for the Christians of our time. So you can say, you're going to see that later on, the heresies about Jesus. You can say, how do we begin the creed? I believe in one God, the Father Almighty, creator, now we say maker, the same thing, creator of heaven and earth. I believe in one Lord, Jesus Christ, Son of God. Now, as you go through that, a modernist will say nonsense, nonsense, nonsense. That's what a modernist would say. Because you are basically authenticating there that Jesus is God. And they are going to tell you that, I think we saw that in the introduction, he didn't even know that he was the Messiah. But now you are saying God from God, light from light, true God from true God. That was useful to those people because they were remote, primitive understanding. So the people believed, in essence, a lie. But now we are more enlightened, we know better. So those articles mean something different to us. But they simply throw that statement out there, and you ask them, how did they understand the articles of the creed, which was different from the way we understand the articles of the creed? Essentially, the creed is how the church has understood the Trinity, the blessed Trinity from the beginning, and it's how the church has understood herself as church from the very beginning. That's it. That's the creed. The understanding of the Trinity and the product of the Trinity, which is the church, which is a divine institution instituted by God himself. I believe in one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. The church shows, another heresy, the church shows that she is incapable of effectively maintaining evangelical ethics, since she obstinately clings to immutable doctrines which cannot be reconciled with modern progress. The church shows that she is incapable of effectively maintaining evangelical ethics, since she obstinately clings to immutable doctrines which cannot be reconciled with modern progress. So in other words, we modern people understand ourselves better, and we understand, you see what they're saying here, ethics. What is ethics? There's ethics in government, ethics in medicine, ethics in so you come up with the way you think that it is the good or right way, good way for you to do things. So with ethics, because again it is a human philosophical system, ethics can change. I think those of you who are well aware, like in medicine, ethics has changed. The way sometimes they viewed things before. Like there were things, how did medicine view, let's say for example, homosexuality, what else, abortion before? What did they say about it? The ethics governing like those things was looked at before. So the medical ethics was basically, they called it a disorder. Now, so you see, so that is ethics. And so they are telling us that we are stuck into the past. These were also human, inventions, human creations. They served that time. Now you need the conversion of St. Paul. Remember what we talked about that? The St. Paul says now homosexuality and other sins are wrong. No, now St. Paul is wrong because he lived in different. Now we need to confront him. Yes. So, ethics, if you look at ethics, it's a human philosophy. That's why when you study philosophy, there's what we call philosophical ethics, which is different from the truth in which we believe. We believe that this is true. So the Christian way of life is not simply ethical. Yes, that could be part of it, but it's far more than that. It's not simply what we organize, what we agree on as good behavior. It is goodness itself. It is truth itself, whether I believe it or not, whether I think it is useful to me or not. It is what it is. My thinking about it, my feeling about it, doesn't change a thing about it. So, the accusation is that we have failed to change our evangelical ethics. No, it's not evangelical ethics. What it is truth. So for us, it is not ethics, merely ethics, although it may incorporate that. For us, it is those can be two different things, because ethics may not be moral. So morality and ethics don't mean the same thing, because there are ethics, like in government, which are immoral, but everything moral is ethical. So, dear modernist, we are not dealing with ethics. We are dealing with morals. And why do morals don't change? Morals don't change because when you talk about morals, you are talking about faith. Faith in truth, and the morals is the way of living the truth. Morals is the way of living the truth. That's why morals and the truth are one and the same. Ethics is not the same as this. Ethics can be good on the philosophical level, but we can't raise it to the level of morals, that now ethics can be equated to morals, and therefore ethics can determine what the truth is going to be. So that has to be clear in our minds. Then, the last one, the church has shown that she is hostile to the progress of the natural and the theological sciences. The church is hostile to the progress of the natural and theological sciences. What will be like the natural sciences? Psychology, sociology, natural sciences. Of course, there is physics, what you said, astronomy, all those kinds of things. And usually, the example they give every time we talk about this, the example is Galileo. Galileo was ostracized and condemned by the Pope. What did Galileo say? His instruments were showing him. I think this ran out. So his so every time you talk about church and science, they bring in Galileo. What happened? Can't remember the Pope, but you remember the incident. Galileo looked at his telescopes and he saw that the world was round, and the Pope said no. Scripture says it is flat. And Galileo said, okay, but machines show me that it's round. So how do you resolve that? Is whether the earth is flat or round, is it an article of the faith? No, it doesn't pertain to faith and morals. So the Pope was overstepping his boundaries, going into science, which has to do with faith and morals. Whether the world is flat or round, I will be saved if I follow the instructions God gives to me. So there are certain things, when the book of Genesis is talking about the way the world started, they were not teaching cosmology. They were just showing how the world began. And they had, their understanding of nature in a different way. That has nothing to do with the message of the faith they were giving to us, that God created everything out of nothing. But that was the understanding of at the time, that the earth is flat. But they'll always bring that in. Some of the the biggest scientific discoveries have started in the Catholic Church, whether in medicine, or astronomy itself, or physics. This so-called theory, the Big Bang theory, who started it? From Belgium, a priest. Yes. So some people, even many Catholics, think that science is contrary to the faith. That is not true. We said that before, and we'll say it over and over again. Pope Benedict emphasized that so much to fight fanaticism. The God of reason is the God of faith. The God of creation is the God of salvation. So nature and the grace have the same source, namely our God. One is simply at another level and the other at another level, but they both proceed from God. So we shouldn't belittle the human intellect, human reason, science, ciencia, knowledge of how the material universe works. Because it's beneficial to us, God gave us the human intellect to subdue the earth. There's no contradiction between faith and science. Science is very good, but just as with every gift God has given to us, it can be abused. But the abuse is not the norm. When something is abused, it doesn't mean that it's bad because it was abused. Faith also can be abused, as we see right now with modernism. So science is God's gift to us. Knowledge of how the material universe works is God's gift to us, and He Himself told us, go and subdue the earth. Meaning that I have put there everything you need for survival. And I have given you a human brain, a human intellect. So go subdue the earth. So the church has never been against science. It is bad scientists who think so, or fanatics in the faith who think that science is bad for the faith. That would be that God is bad for God. If science were bad for the faith, it would be that God is bad for God. If faith is bad for science, it would be that God is bad for God. In fact, faith enhances science. And to appreciate more and more the beauty of God's creation. Okay, glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and shall be, world without end. Thanks for coming, and have a very blessed rest of Advent and Christmas.